Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. Of course, I am Rob Kammer, host, producer, editor, all-around cool guy, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, we're stretching, we're reaching already. Switching things up for the first time in quite a while. Decided that I need to properly, boost the independent wrestling scene, I really need to give back a little bit and give a little bit more focus on the companies themselves. And, I used to do this a bit more, and then I hit a really good streak of people being willing to come on this show for whatever reason. And so I just kind of stopped and just used it as a stopgap in between, guests when I couldn't get a guest on the show. But now I'm getting enough street cred that people are like, cool, this guy's kind of, at least tolerable for a week. Well, 2 hours anyway. And the indie spotlights have kind of fallen by the wayside. So I am now trying to get that back on a rotation, if nothing else. I'm not going to be like once a month or once every other week or anything like that, but just, just bring it back, a promotion that might be interesting to watch, boost the scene. Maybe it's local to you. Maybe it's close enough you could go to it next time they're at a show if you decide to Google it and see where they are. Anything kind of like that. So why not? But yeah, that being said, I got IWTV, so I can watch Lord only knows how much independent wrestling I really want. So sometimes I, I play roulette. I just pick something off the front page. And sometimes I just go looking for stuff from companies that I'm aware of, or I know that certain people have worked, or there's specific matches I want to go see. So this week's Indie Spotlight is going to focus on Chicago-style wrestling. A handful of recent friends of the show over the last couple of months have made regular stops with Chicago-style wrestling. Actually, Axel Rico is a trainer over at their wrestling school, so, it's been a bit since I've watched some Chicago-style, or at least a full show of it, so I figured, let's do it. Let's check out. So we are going to check out Cold Blood from December 15th, 2025, emanating from Franklin Park, Illinois. This was their last show of 2025, and they're looking to pick things up here in February. Of course, as I implied, if I didn't come right out and say, this could be seen on Internet Wrestling Television, IWTV. And, it breaks out to about $10 a month if you're looking for another wrestling streaming service, if you're looking to get out of the 50,000 different streamers that you need to get WWE, or, you're just not happy with I shouldn't say AEW. You can be happy with AEW and not happy with, HBO Max and whatever. But IWTV has a lot of, if you're into independent wrestling, IWTV is where it's at. So, Chicago-style wrestling, Cold Blood, December 15th, 2025, Franklin Park, Illinois. Almost called it Lincoln Park, and then I'd have to sing poorly for you. 9 big matches, so let's talk about these 9 big matches as we go into a season finale, if you will. Our opening contest is Hans Carden. He's taking on Conan Lycan. Carden is the half crab. I respect that. It's one of my favorite wrestling moves that isn't done enough, especially if you're like Lance Storm and you do a fancy little twist on it. Of course. He is taking on Conan Lycan, who come up here in the Midwestern scene and has made some stops out east as well. He's the land shark, but he's also a wolf. And let me just be real with you, people. There's a lot of things about Conan Lycan I don't understand. Just being real. That being said, though, he's a very impressive athlete. So if I say anything negative about him, please don't mistake that for not respecting his athleticism, because dude is doing things a guy his size shouldn't be doing. So I will throw that out there. Anyway, Lycan is starting off hot. We got a steady whiplash and then a standing moonsault for 2. Carden goes outside. Lycan goes out and acts like he's gonna hit Carden with the chair, but he's like, I don't need this shit, and tosses the chair away. Instead, it does a tope on Elo over the guardrail into the crowd, and Carden, of course, inside the ring. Carden takes over. Now Lycan is forced to roll out of the ring. Lycan comes back inside for the boo-yay strikes that I so very, very love. Allegedly, not really, but hits a big blue thunder bomb for 2, though. Then a Liger bomb into the half crab by Carden. Lycan gets to the ropes, though. Carden argues with the referee. It's your big mistake. You can't take your eyes off a guy that size. Low blow followed by the sword breaker, kind of like a suplexy, neckbreakery doodad with a lot of spin to it. It makes it all elementary for Lycan. This was a solid opening contest. It really shows what Lycan can do in the ring if you're not familiar with his work. As I said, I get confused with all the iconography that he does and where these things kind of fit into his overall appearance. But I'm also just going to throw out there that I'm an old man, and whenever I see a land shark and I don't hear, a doorbell with the word before the word land shark, I get disappointed. So just throwing that out there as well. Our second match of the evening is for the Chicago Style Wrestling's Women's Championship, as Haven Harris challenges... Well, it's a fatal 4-way, excuse me, so when I get my grammar done awkwardly. Haven Harris, Heather Reckless, and Maggie Lee challenged Lily La Pescadita. Fatal 4-way. Interesting set of match because it is a fatal 4-way, but we have 2 members of the Elegance brand together, so we'll see how well they work out together outside of the TNA umbrella. We do get respect all around until the Elegance brand attacks. It just kind of all breaks down from here. For those of you who haven't listened to one of my reviews, I'm not going to claim to be great at doing reviews, but in terms of note taking and trying to keep up and explain the action, when we start throwing multiple people in the ring at the same time, it's crazy go nuts. So I'm going to do the best I can to give you the action, but if I miss stuff, I've probably missed a lot, let's be real. Harris and Pescadita pair off for pin attempts. We're in and out of the ring. Everybody's just trading off. All fall down before Pescadita because she is kind of a hoss. The Elegance brand unfortunately dissolve outside the ring, and they kind of been teasing some will they, won't they, with some accidental bumps into each other. But outside the ring, nothing good ever happens. And oh, nope, we're all diving now. Harris goes for a third, goes for 3 in a row, but finally on the third one, Reckless catches her in a cutter on the third dive. Inside the ring, Spider Tower of Doom by Reckless leads to a coast to coast by Maggie Lee. That was interesting to see. Just the sheer athleticism of all of that. Everyone's just now getting their stuff in, going for pins, getting their big moves in, until Pescadita hits an avalanche DVD on Lee. Harris goes for the roll-up, but it is reversed for the 3 count. Your winner, and still CSW, whoop-de-doodle, Freudian slip, Chicago Style Wrestling's Women's Champion, Lily La Pescadita. Our next match is an intergender street fight as Shazza McKenzie takes on Commissar Warhorse. These two have been kind of frenemies off and on, is my understanding, that Shazza has been kind of a member of Annihilation. Commissar, the former Warhorse's nihilistic stable, that has since have kind of gotten some severe cracks in it over the last couple of months as he is slowly returning to ruling ass. Just like our first contest, though, this match is starting out with a dive by Shazza McKenzie. She has a chair, basement drop kick the chair into Warhorse's face. Warhorse has no choice but to roll back to the outside. Warhorse is tossed hither and yon into several guardrails. He is busted open, ladies and gentlemen, a veritable crimson mask. Not really, but he's got a cut. Warhorse catches a crossbody, though, and tosses Shazza into a bunch of chairs. We finally make our way into the ring, though. Warhorse breaks off a kind of the I don't know what you want to call the thing. It's like wedged between the legs of a chair, but he breaks that off, and like we're not even sure where that's going to go. But luckily, Shaz goes low, the low blow. Warhorse sets up several chairs, and then, of course, like a lot of things in wrestling, he who smelt it dealt it, and gets a nasty bump on them, clipping his elbow. Several chair shots to Warhorse, only gets a 2 count. Warhorse sets up the chairs again, and once again, learning nothing from the last time the chairs were set up, is power bombed through them for 2. And these were like a gnarly setup. They weren't just like set up, they were put together, like we'll call it choose death style, a la the Necro Butcher, where the backs are together. And yeah, that had to suck. It had to suck so much. Pile driver through the ringside table, though, by Warhorse. Only gets a 2 count off of that somehow, mostly because it took like 15 minutes to get everybody back in the ring and whatnot. Shaza kicks out of the diving elbow at 1, wakes her up Hogan/Warrior style. She is firing up, starts choking Warhorse with her belt. Warhorse has no choice but to tap. Your winner, Shazza McKenzie. Fun match. I love these kind of messy street fights. And both of these competitors, are no slouches in the ring to begin with. But we're not done yet with this thing. So Annihilation comes out. Warhorse is stable. They kind of help him up and kind of like, yeah, it's Warhorse, everybody, and then basically kick him out of his own group, just beaten down mercilessly as we make our way into the next match. Our next match is a trios match as the Hype, which is 12 Gauge and Hunter Holdcraft, take on Bruce Hamilton. They will be taking on the team of Shane Boucher and the CSW Tag Team Champions Eddie Grayson and Jack Valor. And I'm just going to throw it out here. I'm a regular consumer of Zawa, and so I'm familiar with Hunter Holdcraft's singles work, and just seeing him like go from like almost like Kurt Angle-esque like amateur technical wrestler to a member of the Hype is such a trip to see. Where they're I guess they're bookies now. That's the thing. So they got some over-unders of like various moves and how many times people are going to dive and whatnot, and how many times Bruce Hamilton is just going to chuck a sucker around the ring. But yeah, it's crazy go nuts on that front. So that's just weird to me. That's the beauty of independent wrestling, just people doing different things in different promotions. But we're going to start the party off with Valor and Gage. The Technicos, which is Boucher, Grayson, and Valor, start off hot until Hamilton's brought in. And if you haven't seen what a gentleman barbarian Bruce Hamilton is, ladies and gentlemen, he is the epitome of a big meaty man that's going to slap some meat. Dude's up. Built like a refrigerator and throws people around just like nuts, like a powerlifter should. But yeah, so he kind of stops the momentum of our Technico team, chucking people hither and yon as well. The Hype, in the meanwhile, are using old school ref distraction to keep Valor from tagging in. He has been isolated for a bit. Eventually, Valor tags Shane Boucher, and he is a house of fire, taking everybody out the best he can. We are using Gage as a launch pad in the process of some dives. Crazy tandem offense ends with a standing shooting star press onto Holdcraft. Only gets a 2 count off that. Bruce comes in and just wrecks everyone with power bombs. That was fun. Gage launches Holdcraft into a splash off the top rope. Only gets a 2 count off of that, surprisingly. That was a nifty little move. Bruce wants to dive for whatever reason, and the Hype are like, no, that's going to wreck the odds. And like Bruce is like, whatever, I'm a big dude, you're not going to stop me. And just like does a running dive off the apron onto the crowd, much to the entertainment of the Franklin Park crowd. That was a sight to see in and of itself. Back in the ring though, it's all breaking down. We go for dual pins with Grayson and Valor pinning the Hype as Boucher kind of runs interference on Bruce Hamilton with a big standing double stomp onto the big man. In the meanwhile, Grayson and Valor get the pinfall. So your winners, Shane Boucher, Eddie Grayson, and Jack Valor. Another match that was just crazy go nuts all around. And you got all the these tiny flippy little guys with Bruce Hamilton coming in and wrecking shop was a lot of fun to see. So we are about thereabouts to the I don't know, maybe we're at the midway point. Close enough, anyway. So let's go ahead and take a brief intermission. Take a pause for the cause, if you will. Get yourself a energy drink. Get yourself a coffee. Get yourself a coffee machine, and we'll be back. Un momento. Hey, folks. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top of the line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we are back with a 15-minute Ironman match for the Metro Division Championship. This is also a Fatal 5-Way. Is that it? I don't think there's a specific term, because it's not a six-pack challenge, because there's only 5, but it's not a Fatal 4-Way, because there's only 4 of them. There are 5 individuals in this 15-minute Ironman match. In theory, only one winner, or at least that's the way it's described to us, as Victor Analog, Jay Marston, Victor Inestra, and Axel Rico, friend of the show, by the way, look to wrest the title from FXB. For those of you not familiar, Ironman rules is basically you get a set time limit, in this case 15 minutes, and whoever gets the most falls in that time wins. And it should be interesting because there are 5 people in this match, so getting those pinfalls are going to be rough and tumble, if you will. Inestra has the mic. He's just making various threats to the crowd. That's setting things up. Just spoiler alert, he's a dude that just doesn't really stop talking. Nothing he says is super important to this match or whatever. He's just putting down the crowd, putting himself over, waiting for everybody else to kind of get in the ring. And when everyone does, it breaks down immediately. Inside the ring is Marston and Inestra. Marston gets the first pin on FXB. So again, this is Iron Man rules, so we're going to keep going here, but Marston is one up on everybody. So if the clock would stop right now, Jay Marston would be your winner. However, we are still moving on. Analog enters and looks to pick up a pinfall, but Rico breaks up the pin. Rico picks up a fall on Analog, so we got 2 people with 1 point. Now in the ring, FXB and Inestra are diving around. Inestra, I can't. I'm going so fast I can't pronounce the gentleman's name right. Iniesta. It's a diving crossbody on FXB for a fall. So now we've got 3 people with 1 point. Analog hits a super play, followed up by a regular suplex on Rico for a fall. Now we got 4 people with 1 point, and none of them are the champion. Once again, this is the obligatory Tower of Doom spot, because, it's a multi-person matchup that isn't just a regular tag team match. FXB is going for a desperation pin on anybody who happens to be laying down. Everyone's getting their shit in as FXB finally gets a pinfall with 60 seconds left, so everybody's got a point now. Spear from FXB gets a 2 count, and we get our time warning. Originally they commentary kept implying that this was there has to be a winner, that there wasn't going to be a draw, and our color commentator, whose name escapes me at the moment because I didn't write that down. He is kind of the commissioner of Chicago Style Wrestling, is cackling hilarious. It's all hilarious to him because he read the fine print in the contract. Evidently, FXB has slipped some verbiage into the contract for this match that there can be a draw, and should there be a draw, he will retain. So, not your winner, but still Chicago Style Wrestling Metro Division Champion, FXB. After the match, still on the ground, and Iniestra gets on the mic. He's threatening to use his Democrat friends to get the show shut down. Maybe even talk to the fire marshal about this, but he's also needs some help because he's so injured. And Lily La Pescadita comes out to help out, and they're dating, they're in a relationship, and he still just doesn't stop talking smack. He's like, "You're a woman. What are you going to do? There's no dishes out here," and like, going on like with all the sexist stuff. Where, mind you, Pescadita is a powerlifter in her own right. Like, picks him up, like slings him over her shoulder and begins carrying him to the back, and he's still talking shit, calling her his dishwasher. Though I did pop as they got to like near to like the end of the entranceway. You don't see anything, but you don't see it, or at least I didn't see it, but you just hear him go, "Ow, my dishwasher hit me." Like, so even as he's getting beat for it, he's still just talking, and I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I am a fan of the chaos, and this was a chaos in a different way. No weapons, just 5 guys trying to get pinfalls. If you've ever tried to make a multi-person Iron Man match in any of the video games, you already know, like, it's a mo to do. So this is interesting to see, and the time went by really fast. Like I mean, not counting the entrances, but like the 15 minutes just went by. Like, the action was just so hot, so that was a lot of fun to see. Our next match, we have Doug Simmons is out. He's our special referee. I have no clue who he is, so I'm not gonna like. I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to hype him up as to why this is so cool. However, what is unfortunately, I guess I was about to say unfortunately really cool, but this is career versus career, as Steve Boz with the Made Men take on Misa Kate. More intergender action. Boz utilizes his size and strength advantage early on to keep Kate grounded. Kate does try to fight back out from underneath, but she is just cut off repeatedly. However, she does sneak in a big kick to allow enough space to stick and move and use her speed advantage. Kate hits a huge powerbomb, only for 2. Boz hits a face buster for 2. We're just going back and forth at this point. Boz almost kicks Simmons. However, Kate kicks Simmons, so that's how we're dealing with our special bias right there. Kate kicks Boz and gets the visual pin, but there's no ref. He has been killed by various kicks. Boz gets the chair and hits the Famouser onto the chair. The ref's still out, though. The ref awakens to count the pin, but it's only a 2 count because it took forever to get that going. Boz kicks Simmons on accident, so Simmons is dead once again. This time Kate hits a low blow and then hits Boz with the chair. Ref wakes up just in time to get the 2 count off of that. Boz is bozzing up. Hits the big boot and the leg drop. We are channeling Hulk Hogan here, people. Only a 2 count off of that. Channeling Shawn Michaels with a big super kick. Unfortunately, he does not love Misa Kate. Kate hits 2 of the 5 moves of doom. I don't even know what we're doing here. Before Boz hits the twist of fate and Sister Abigail to get the win, ending the career of Misa Kate, who has come out to acknowledge her actual retirement from professional wrestling. So this match was an interesting little set off. Like, it was a fun match, don't get me wrong. And then like the whole tribute thing at the end was like it was totally WTF, but I was down for it. So that was what it was. But a fun match to be had overall. Up next, Solomon Tupu, Uncle T taking on Mustafa Ali. Ali feigns a handshake. Excellent agility shown by both these competitors. Tupu is also a big Samoan dude, so seeing him do some of these things is interesting to see as well. He's not quite as flippy as, say, your Conan Lycan, but for a big guy, Tupu is very agile. But in the process of this means Tupu has like all the answers for Ali's. He's trying to do his flippy stuff as well. Eventually, Ali baits Tupu outside and hits a big DDT inside the ring. Standing moonsault only gets 1 by Ali. Tupu hits the Falcon Arrow. Unfortunately, usually no one gets up from the Falcon Arrow, but Tupu was too hurt to capitalize on that properly. Tupu fires up and hits rock bottom for a 2 count. We are trading super kicks, which I'm not going to lie, I absolutely loathe. But Tupu dodges a slide and hits Ali. And Ali hits the turnbuckle, sorry. So they trade the super kicks, and then Tupu dodges a sliding attack by Ali, and Ali hits the turnbuckle face first, like really hard. I thought he Enzo Amore'd himself himself, where he just banged his head off the ropes and like practically killed himself in the process. Big splash by Tupu, only gets a 2 count. Tope Suicida by Ali, followed up by a 450 splash, only gets 2. Ali tries multiple strikes, and Tupu no-sells them, but he misses the cannonball. Tupu hits a pop-up powerbomb out of nowhere for the upset. Like, that was crazy go nuts, man. Just like literally out of nowhere, big pop-up powerbomb. After the match, Ali gets on the mic and gives Tupu a little bit of advice. He tells Tupu that like he's all about having fun, making the people laugh, but like he knows it's basically a defense mechanism because it's better for you to make people laugh than the people just laughing at you. And he just needs to and Tupu needs to remember that he's a badass Samoan, and don't forget to let loose. So that was a good match. It was great to see Ali kind of putting people over, because there had been rumors at various points that he wasn't going to drop threes while out in the indie scene. But that was, of course, a year or 2 years ago, something of the like. But moving on, now we got a buried alive match as Adam Stallion with Eric Schultz takes on Cypher. Stallion tries to get out of the ring several times and is just stopped. Cypher is a big dude; he's got a long reach. At least until Stallion is pounced / tossed out into Schultz outside the ring. Cypher is just dropping Stallion hither and yard outside the ring too. Take a drink every time I throw that out there. He holds Cypher holds Stallion for the crowd to get a shot in, and this little girl just balls up and just punches him in the chest. That was great. Schultz comes at Cypher with a taser. However, Cypher disarms him. At this point, I just realized that Schultz is like, looks like he's wearing like what appears to be a business suit until the camera pans down and he's wearing the wrestling tights, and like, so he's got suspenders holding up his Speedo, I guess. That was kind of funny, actually. I approve of that. Schultz is getting beaten up in the ring. This is where I find out that he's wearing tights. Cypher goes for a tope suicida, but dives face first into a chair, which Stallion then tees off with. Finally getting some offense in. Stallion decides it's against going for the win and tosses Cypher into the ring. Schultz and Stallion have kendo sticks now, and they're teeing off. Cypher gets his ass stapled, literally stapled to the butt. Cypher ends up getting a measure of revenge, cracking a kendo stick across a diving Stallion's midsection. Cypher sets up a table outside of the ring. We are going to be fighting around the ring post. Stallion staples Cypher's hand after a Schultz distraction. I do say it didn't really turn the tide. However, Stallion gets the taser back and then tases Cypher, who then falls through the ringside table. So, that turned the tide a wee bit, I guess. In the process of this, like, Stallion's going after security. Heather Reckless is out to check on Cypher and then runs distraction and confronts Stallion. Cypher powers through like a myriad of kendo shots to drag Stallion to the grave site. Stallion does get to take over briefly and has Cypher's old mask, puts it on Cypher's face after low blowing him. Reckless is back over, running distraction, allowing Cypher to choke slam Stallion into the grave. Cypher and Reckless start burying Stallion, and the match is over. Your winner, Cypher. And I was really worried about how this match is going to go. I'm not going to lie, because there was a sizable difference, between the two competitors. But they did make it work and told like a really good story. I was just worried it's just going to be kind of like a standard indie fest where we're just going to ignore size differences. But they didn't do that, and that made me really happy to see. We are going to move on to our main event of the evening. It is for the Chicago Style Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion as Marshe Rocket defends against Rafael Quintaro. Terry Gruber, who I have no clue who that is either, is the special timekeeper. Rocket tries to take the title belt from Gruber, and he's having none of that. So we get another match that starts off with a pair of dives as Quintaro hits a pair of dives on Rocket. Quintaro breaks the count a couple times as they brawl around the ring, so that's good on him. That's something like good. That's good ring awareness. That's a pet peeve of mine where like the ref is reliant just to look like an idiot and throw out arbitrary number counts when the guys are just brawling around the ring. They fight clear to the gravesite from the last match, and Rocket takes advantage and throws dirt to blind Quintaro. as they brawl back to the ring. Rocket chops the ring post to give Quintero an advantage as they go into the ring. However, Rocket's power is too much. And this like blows my mind. I'm going to out myself of being old, but like I haven't always paid attention to like where Marche Rocket has come like in the last like 15 years or so. Like, so like until like I realized he was in the NWA, like I thought like he was always just like this tall, lanky guy to me. And now like seeing a guy who's 6'4" and 260 thereabouts was like crazy go nuts. Dude filled out over the years, which I mean, okay, haven't we all? But yeah, it just kind of like blew my mind to see like how much size Marche Rocket had put on, and like he carries it well, uses it to his advantage, because that is a lot of muscle. That isn't just like, oh, he got old and fat. Like, nah, man, he is hitting the gym good. So Rocket's power is way too much for Quintero early on, though. The M80 cutter is hit, only a 2 count, though, and commentary really puts over how like no one kicks out of it. And if I can nitpick on that, if it was such a rarity for someone to kick out of the M80, I would have liked to see like the commentary a bit more excited over it. There, like, not that they were bored with it, but like this is a championship match, a championship main event. And a move that is evidently very well protected, as most finishers should be, not gonna lie. But they like referenced that like only like 2 people have kicked out of it, and like they're just kind of like, oh wow, nobody's ever kicked out of the M80 before. This is crazy, and like I'm not a big fan of histrionics as a whole, but like someone kicked out of it on unbreakable move. Like, you should be a little bit more excited for it. Quintero dodges a swanton attempt, though, mounts a comeback. Froggy bow by Quintero gets 2. Quintero dodges a spear, and Rocket spears the referee. We are dealing with ref bias that way, ladies and gentlemen. Bruce Hamilton runs to the ring, locking in a lifting triangle on Quintero. Solomon Tupu is out to negate Hamilton. Steve Boz is out now. Conan Ligon is out. Mustafa Ali is also out here. Like, so everybody's just come out to hit a big move to neutralize each other. Another M80 by Rocket is kicked out of, mostly because the ref had to wake up to get the count. So Rocket just drops an elbow on the ref. Love that. Rocket goes to get the belt. Gruber once again refuses. Gruber is then forced to eat a punch for that one. Quintero dodges the belt shot, hits a handspring stunner. Froggy Bow ×2, had to hit it twice, as the ref is slowly waking up, but he does, however slowly, because he is critically injured, counts the 3, and we have a new CSW World Heavyweight Champion in Rafael Quintero. Fun match to be had. We're not done yet, of course. Rocket, who's been so protective of the belt up to this point, it reluctantly hands over the belt to Quintero. Quintero is joined by Lycan, Tupu, and then Grayson and Valor come out too to kind of like do a belt toast thing. But Swerve Bro, Lycan low blows Tupu and Quintero and takes out the tag team champions. Axel Rico is out and he gets hit with the belt, and Lycan walks out with the belt. The cameras get on him backstage, and he talks about how hard he's worked to put Chicago style wrestling on the map. He's gone away and he's come back, and everybody seems to forget that he's built this shit. In his words, try harder, dude. But it looks like he is setting himself up for Quintero's first challenger for the belt, which is going to be a big test for the new champ. So that being said, that is Cold Blood Chicago Style Wrestling. Very fun match overall. Again, it's like this is kind of what the independents are all about. There are things I could definitely nitpick on. Like I wasn't like as an old man, but like liking variety in my matches. Like I wasn't a fan of like half the matches starting out with dives outside the ring. Like I felt like that could have been tightened up a bit. I think that was like my biggest kind of like complaint overall was that old man yelling at Cloud's opinion on that front. About half the matches just started with a dive to the outside of the ring. I know we want to start off hot, but when every match is starting off hot like that, specifically like that, it takes things down a little bit. But really, that's the worst thing I could complain about this match. Yes, if you're not a fan of intergender wrestling, that could bring you down. But the intergender matches told stories. It wasn't just doing the indie stuff and we're going to ignore a size difference. Though I'm not going to lie, in the case of Shaza versus Warhorse, they were about the same size, so that part probably didn't hurt that much. That, and it was weapons fest too, so it all equals out. But as a whole, this is kind of a show that I want to see in my indie events. There's a lot of interesting stuff going around. A lot of batches of chaos, but also really good in-ring action with solid stories told in the ring. So if you got IWTV, check it out. If not, stick to the social medias and you can see clips and matches on YouTube. But yeah, so with that, we're going to go ahead and wind things down and get things going. Thank you for giving this here a listen. Excuse me. I talked way too much, and I knocked this all out in 1 to 2 takes, mostly just one take. So that's a lot of air I'm swallowing. But thank you all for giving this a listen. Stay tuned. We're ramping up the guests the next couple of weeks too before we slip back into the indie spotlights. But as I said, I want to do some more indie spotlights, just to keep everyone aware of what's going on in the independent scene. Yes, it's great talking to all the guys and gals on the indie scene, but it's sometimes we need to know what's going on at shows themselves, and so we're going to do that. So thank you guys for giving this a listen, and I'll catch you all next time. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamerer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.